It's the Last Stand Podcast. And here's your host, Brian Custer.
That's right, Last Stand Podcast. I am Brian Custer. And listen, we bring you the biggest names in sports and entertainment, and you can watch every episode. All you've got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, Last Stand Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you download us on all of the platforms streaming podcasts. In fact, if you want one of these Ice Cube shirts, listen to our podcast when we had Ice Cube on. Go to it, and you can find out how you can get one of these shirts and be helping a really, really good cause. When we talk about some of the biggest names in sports, our guest on this podcast is one of the biggest and best fighters in the world. He's a 3-division world champion, the former undisputed light welterweight champion of the world. He is now the WBO welterweight champion of the world. He is Terence Bud Crawford here on the Last Stand Podcast. Bud, welcome to the episode and the podcast. How are you?
Doing great, man. I'm just out here chilling, relaxing until it's time to go to the gym.
Let me tell you something. I have been thoroughly looking forward to talking to you because I've been such a big fan of your talent. And frankly, I don't know too many brothers from Omaha, Nebraska. So that's why I really wanted to talk to you.
Oh yeah, man. It's a lot of brothers out here, man. A lot of people always say that, you know. You come from Omaha, Oklahoma? I said it's a lot of great talent that came from Omaha, you know?
Yeah. Now, listen, I trust that you, especially your children, that you guys have been healthy, your wife, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. Like, everybody in my family's healthy. Nobody's close to home got sick or anything, so everyone's great.
You know, as a fighter, how difficult is it when you got to stay in shape, you got to stay ready, especially when the coronavirus was at its height, and then your job is to spar, you got to sweat on guys, you got to get wrapped, so you're up close, you're sweating on guys, and you certainly don't want to bring anything home to your family, especially with the quarantine. How difficult was that?
Well, my coach, me and my coach, we had decided to close our gym down only to select few people. So, you know, it's a chance that you take it, you know, even with your coaches and, you know, the team that you have. It's just all chances. You know, we take chances every day. We take chances in the ring each and every time. So, you know, as you can see, I'm a risk taker at heart, even, you know, in life. So, you know, it's just a risk that we take.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because as more professional leagues come back, there was always that fear. And you hear it from athletes saying, hey, look, man, I got kids. I don't know if I want to come back and risk bringing something to my family. It seems as if you're more so on that, hey, I take a risk every time I get in the ring, that you're willing to go back and fight despite the coronavirus. For
sure. You know, when you look at the virus and you look at the people that had it that's healthy, nothing really happened to them. You know, it only affects the elderly and the people that have like asthma, hard breathing, people that smoke. It bothers them, but if you healthy, you know, it really doesn't really do too much to you. It look like.
In 2014, you opened the B&B Sports Academy there in Omaha. It's where you train. It's private, as you talked about. But I love that one thing that you did was you also opened it up to children and didn't charge them and allow them to come train there. You held amateur tournaments. Tell me why you took that step where you're world champion and generally guys want to train in a private gym, but you opened it up to kids and didn't charge a dime.
Well, coming from where I come from, you know, we always had to go downtown, South Omaha or real north to get to a boxing gym, you know, so you had to take the bus or ride your bike or catch a ride. You know, me and my coach, we from the inner city of North Omaha. That's where, you know, most of the Black people is at. And, you know, struggling families, they really can't get to those places to work out and stuff. So we just decided to look for a building in the inner city and get ourselves a gym. So once we got it in 2011, we really just was paying rent on the building, you know, so we can secure it. And once, you know, my fights start picking up, we started putting little things in it bit by bit. And once we got enough money to really get all the rings and get everything that we need inside the gym, we started working out in it, and people just wanted to come. And I was like, let's just open it up to the community, to all the kids that really can't afford to, you know, pay a membership or pay to, you know, get hand wraps and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a good idea, and me and Bo decided to make it a nonprofit organization. And yeah, so here we is.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then you took another step, because just last December, you opened your own retail store, the TBC shop, right there in your childhood neighborhood. Tell me why you felt the need to open up a store right there in your childhood neighborhood.
Because, well, it's not in my childhood neighborhood. It's a place that I grew up, you know, in, playing basketball around the corner and playing basketball across the street at the Salvation Army. So every time I would come across somebody, you know, mainly elderly, you know, they will always ask me, when can I get some of your T-shirts? When can I get this? When can I get that? And I'd be like, you got to get online, you know, get online. They'd be like, you know, I don't do that internet stuff. You know, I don't know how to do this. I'm old school. So I will always come across a lot of those people. And then it just struck my mind, you know, my girl, she seen the building for sale that we used to always go buy candy and stuff. It's one of my friends owned the building and stuff. So I seen it on sale, and I called him up. I was like, I know who building it is. He said, this is my homie dad. So I called him up. He was like, yeah, he's selling it. He tired of it. He want to move on to a newer venture. I was like, I want to buy it. He was like, man, we'd love to have you buy it, you know, keep it in the family. So that's how I got the privilege and honor to buy that building on the corner.
Oh, that's great, man. Giving back to the community. That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about you, because you have 5 kids. And my understanding, you've got 2 sons, Terence Jr. and Tyrese, who are wrestling studs and nationally ranked. And so my question is, why wrestling and not boxing?
Well, all 3 of my a lot of say my baby son is going to be better than everybody, because he's just so talented and like fearless. But my dad wrestled and boxed, but he was more of a wrestler. He was in state championships and all that stuff. My grandpa, he was a wrestler and a boxer. And my uncle, he was more of a wrestler than boxing. He's the one that taught my dad wrestling. So on my mom's side, her brother was a boxer. So I got boxing and wrestling on both sides. So coming up, I started boxing at the age of 7. But when I got kicked out the gym, you know, for being a little hardhead, little boy, not listening, I went to wrestling, because my dad and my mom always wanted me to wrestle, because my dad was more of a wrestler than boxing. So I used to never really want to wrestle, because I used to always get mad and I always wanted to fight. So I started wrestling a little bit, and then I went to football and basketball, and then I came boxing in 2002. So seeing how hard it was once you get like really into the sport and everything that you have to go to get to the top, I really never wanted my kids to suffer that pain that I couldn't protect them with, you know. So getting getting in on the football field, I always tell people I felt like football was more dangerous than boxing. So those two sports I vowed to not let my kids do unless they had the conscience of really wanting to do it on their own, and I had to support them. So boxing, I really never really introduced my kids to boxing. They just picked up on everything, so I always put them in wrestling, so that gives them a great foundation and a defense tactic to where they can defend themselves at the same time. So that's how they really got in wrestling. They loved it. They gravitated to it so quick. My son was a runner-up in his second year, so his third year he won every tournament. So I was just like, man, that was crazy. It was just a blessing that he just, he's just a stud. He's just natural with
it. And I think you're being a little bit humble, because from my understanding, even yourself, you were a really good wrestler yourself. How old were you when you realized, though, that boxing was your gift, that you were destined for big things as a boxer?
Well, like I said, when I came back to the gym in 2002, that's when I realized that I won my first national tournament, coming right back off of 5-year layoff. I won the national ringside tournament, and at the time I felt like that was one of the hardest tournaments out there, because you had everybody from Canada to Mexico to New Jersey and California, all the number ones went to that tournament. So I believe that was the second year of the ringside, and it was an invitational tournament. So how you go to a national tournament and you got all the number ones out there out of every state. So you never see the guys that they beat, so that what makes it harder, because people that you don't even know that's crazy good, from Canada, from, Hawaii, they was all coming from Puerto Rico. It was a world tournament. So the people that say I'm out of Nebraska and I keep fighting this kid in a regionals, but he's crazy good, but he just can't beat me. Them guys that you see in the tournament, and it's like, dang, man, where this dude come from? And they like, man, he just can't beat that guy. He just can't beat such and such, or they robbed him. So I felt like that was one of the hardest tournaments coming up, and I won that tournament. And once I won it, it was just like, man, I got to be serious. Like, I can take this to the next level. And everybody was pushing me to, be great.
And the rest, they say, is history. So you grow up, you have Brian McIntyre, Bomac, as he's called, as your trainer, Red Spikes. You have him. And then another, is it Esau? If I'm not mistaken, Esau with you. And you've always maintained, even though those guys from a national standpoint may not be as well known as the Freddie Roaches and people like that, or Ronnie Stokes, those type, Ronnie Shields, I should say, those type of guys. You said you will not change your team at all. Tell me why.
Well, I always look at coaches, right? When you look at a coach and you see how he got to where he is, or how he get to the level that he's at, you always look at who he's training, right? And who got him there. Mm-hmm. There had to be somebody that believed in him from the jump for him to even get to that point. So how can my coaches get there if I didn't believe in them and they didn't believe in me? See, you got a lot of fighters that's great, that could be great, but the people that got them to where they at, they leave them because of the people that's in their ear. Oh, go with this coach because he's already solidified. He's already there. He's already accomplished. But how can your coach get all the accomplishments and get all the accolades if you just run out and leave them for somebody else. So, you know, I believed in my coaches just as well as they believed in me, and we here.
Would you ever consider, as opposed to changing, would you ever consider adding somebody to your team the higher and the bigger the fights are? Like, let's say Tyson Fury, who added Sugar Hill to his team because in the rematch with Wilder, he wanted that next step. Would you consider adding a big name trainer or somebody to your team if you had a mega fight, so to speak?
I don't believe so. I believe everything that I need is right here. You know, I got 3 great coaches. You know, I got a great strength conditioning coach. I got a great nutritionist. You know, I just got a full solid team. You know, when you inside and out. You know, when you look at my team, like they know me in and out. You know, they know when I'm having a good day, a bad day, a mediocre day, mediocre. It's just something about a team that's like family to you, you know, where they can just look at you and say, all right, you know, something's going on with them, you know, and they grab you and, you know, take your mind off of it and make you push even harder than you really was going to push that day, you know, or say some things to you that boost your energy and just make you do things that you would have never thought you would be able to do, you know. So it's hard to have that type of chemistry with somebody else that you really don't know like that, because I'm the type of person that I really don't like to let people inside, you know everything about
me. Now that sports has slowly made its way back, you know, boxing, especially overseas, had already started some fights, no fans, things of that nature. And now here, the plan is to do the same. Can Bud Crawford fight in venues and fight going forward without fans?
It depends. Like I already said, I've been there before. You know, I didn't come out the Olympic trials and get this big signing bonus and be on TV like all my fellow, you know, 2008 alumni, you know, I should call them. You know, I was the one that had to work from scratch to get to where I'm at. You know, I was the one that was fighting in barns with cow shit smelling all through the fucking arena, fighting in little bars in Iowa City, Iowa, with 50 people in it. You know, I was doing that. You know, so that's nothing that I haven't experienced before or nothing that I haven't done before. It's just the point now where I am now. Yeah, you pay me, we gotta fight. You know, just don't try to tell me that I have to take a pay cut because of a pandemic. Like, I don't feel that's right. You know, when I already went through what I had to go through coming up. Now you telling me go back to ground one and take a pay cut. I just don't feel like I can do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it seems like from a financial standpoint, that is the way it's going, that, hey, look, we want our big time fighters to fight. They're going to have to fight without fans, but they're not going to get the kind of money that they've gotten in the past. And if that's the case, is it conceivable then that Bud Crawford will probably not fight this year, would have to wait until next year when we possibly have a vaccine and that we can have crowds back in the arena?
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, maybe. If that's the price that we got to take, then so be it.
Are you at the point now where, you know, you've done a great job for that area in Omaha, fighting there in that arena and bringing people there, but you've gotten so big, can you even fight in your hometown anymore?
Of course. I feel like I can fight in my hometown. You know, I even can fight in Lincoln. You know, we can. They always asking me when I'm gonna have a fight in Memorial Stadium. And I always tell him, like, give me like the Pacquiao or the Errol Spence or somebody like that, you know, and we'll do it, you know. So it's very, you know, reachable. Just gotta have the right opponent.
I'm curious, and I've had Errol Spence on, and I'll ask you kind of the same questions. How many more fights do you see yourself at 147?
I don't know. I really can't say, you know, because I was willing to go up and challenge the WBO 154 title champion. So, you know, we'll see. Like I said, yeah, sky's the limit for me right now. Like, I'm looking for all the big opportunities and all the champions. Yeah, so I'm gunning for all of them.
Have you even thought about, because you've already laid out some things outside the ring, have you thought about how many more years you want to fight?
Not too many more years. You know, I feel like I'm accomplished and I've accomplished even over. I'm an overachiever. You know, when I look at it, my goal set since I was a kid was to become a world champion. When I came out the Olympic trials, that's all I wanted to become, was a world champion. And I did that times 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? Like, to become undisputed, to become unified lightweight champion, unified undisputed junior welterweight champion, then champion in welterweight division. That's 3-weight championships, you know, SB award winner, boxer of the year, or fighter of the year. Like, I got so many awards, and, you know, just to look on my wall and just to see all them accomplishments and just be like, man, wow. Like, you really did a number on just becoming a world champion. You know, like, everybody always asks me, what is your biggest achievement in boxing? I always say, becoming a world champion that night in Scotland. You know, because all my dreams came true. Like, it was like I could take a fresh breath of air and was just like, man, I accomplished something that I always told all my teachers. I told all my friends, everybody that ever could have known who Terence Crawford was coming up. I always said I was going to become a world champion. And I did that. And I did what I said I was going to do.
That's fantastic. Talking with Terence Crawford here on the Last Stand podcast. We're going to get into who he wants to fight next and his specific thoughts on the mega fight, the fight that everyone wants to see him in, and that's against Errol Spence Jr. But first, let me tell you about one of our podcast partners. It's the all-natural B1 patches from USA Natural Patches. And folks, I'm going to tell you, it works. The patch is filled with thiamine to help boost your immune system, especially in light of the coronavirus. A lot of people trying to boost their immune system. It gives you energy. It gives you stamina, allows you focus to help you work out. For me, I use it when I'm working out, when I box, when I'm taking martial arts. It helps me recover. And it's simple. All you got to do is peel it on, stick it on the dry area of your body. 30 minutes later, you feel the effects of the B1 patch, and it lasts for 8 hours. Professional athletes use it. I use it when I'm working out, and all you've got to do, folks, is go to buyb1.com to purchase yours and use the promo code BC3, and you get a discount. It's 100% natural. Wear what the pros wear. It's Buy B1 patch. Don't compete without it. Talking with Terence Crawford here on the Last Stand podcast. And you know, Terence, everyone in the world wants to see you and Errol Spence Jr. fight. First of all, what do you think of Errol Spence Jr. as a fighter?
Oh, he's a great fighter. You know, like I tell everybody, I'm a fan. I've been a fan since he was in the amateurs, fighting on the USA team and fighting in the Olympics. Like, we've been watching Errol since he was a kid. You know, there's nothing really bad I can say about his talent or his skill set. You know, it's just business when it comes between me and him. He want to be the best.
Yeah,
He
go
want to
ahead.
be the best. He want to be the best in the division, and he feels he the best in the division. And I feel like I'm by far the best in the division. You know, so that's when you got two alpha males bumping heads, and got to see who's number one.
I'm sure in your quiet time, you've played out the fight in your mind. If this fight comes to fruition, how do you see it playing out?
Me winning. That's it. That's I don't see nothing else like me winning. That's it. That's all. Like when I play fights out in my head, I never play a fight out that I'm losing. You know, me at the best of my abilities, I don't feel nobody can beat me. You know, if I train to the core, I'm in tremendous shape. I don't believe nobody can beat me. That's just me being honest.
Yeah. Two great body punchers. Do you see this more as a strategic fight? Do you see it as, just two guys going forward? I guess from a strategy standpoint, how do you see that fight?
Well, honestly, I don't think he'll fight me like just trying to come straight to me. I think that'll be a bad decision for him. Now he may, but I don't think he'll fight me like that. I think he'll try to use his jab and oppose his will on me or however he come in. But I think it'd be more of a chess match than anything because I feel like I'm always changing things up. And if he can't keep up with me changing up the style and changing up the pace and changing up the fight style, then he's going to fall behind. So that's how I look at it.
Do you, when he had that accident, I've heard a lot of people say, man, I know that if these two fight and Terence Crawford beats him, everyone's going to say, oh, it's because Errol had the accident. He's not the same fighter that he was. Did any of that come into your mind at all when he had that accident?
For sure. When I look at when Pacquiao was signed with Top Rank, I've been chasing Pacquiao since 2015, trying to get that fight. They've been, picking other fighters over me instead of fighting me, like Brandon Rios, Jesse Vargas, all those type of fighters, instead of fighting me when I was there to fight. Everybody in the media, everybody and their mama, he's chasing this old fighter. Why don't he fight somebody young? Pacquiao washed up. Pacquiao this, Pacquiao that. Pacquiao ain't no good fighter no more. He need to retire and this and that and that. Okay, I get it. I still want to fight. Once Pacquiao leave and go to PBC, everybody want to fight Pacquiao. What and all the writers saying Pacquiao still got a lot left. Pacquiao looking young. We seeing the old Pacquiao. Oh, he just beat Broner. Oh, Pacquiao's back. Oh, he just beat Keith Thurman. Now Pacquiao is looking 10 years younger. I'm like, wow. Like, where was all this energy when I was trying to fight Pacquiao? Like, it's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. When we had Errol on the podcast, he said that you two talked on the phone and talked about fighting each other. Can you give us some insight? I mean, who called whom and what specifically did you say to him?
Well, I called him because we was going back and forth on Twitter, and I was just like, you know what? I'm about to call you. I got your number. I'm not about to do all this. I'm going direct because I want you to know that I'm for real about what I'm talking about and what I'm saying. I'm not throwing words out on Twitter just to get likes and retweets. So I called him up, and he was like, what you want? I was like, what I want, So we had a brief conversation about us two fighting, you know, and he told me what was his plans, and I just told him, like, well, these is my plans and them is your plans. So if your plans is that, then we're not gonna fight. But if we can come to agreement on this, then we gotta fight. You know, and we just talked about the business side of boxing, you know, like it's a business at the end of the day, and we both agreed on that. And, you know, he's a cool dude. Like I said, like, I don't have problems with him. You know, I sent him a text message after the wreck, you know, telling him I want him, you know, great health and hope that he's okay to come back to the sport of boxing. But yeah, like we both agreed that we both want to fight, and you know, if business come to fruition and everything get handled the way it should get handled, then we gotta fight.
Well, let me ask you then the same question I asked him, and he answered it truthfully. So I'll ask you the same thing. Realistically now, tell me Terence Crawford's next 3 fights, because Errol said from a realistic standpoint, when I come back, no tune-up, Danny Garcia, Manny Pacquiao, and then Terence Crawford at the very end of 2021. So realistically, what are Terence Crawford's next 3 fights?
Well, I really can't say what Terence Crawford next 3 fights is, you know, because it's kind of hard to pull out names and it don't come to fruition. You know, my next fight should be Pacquiao. You know, we in the talks with Team Pacquiao, and I've been hoping that that fight can get made. But anything after that, I really can't say, because I'm only looking forward to the next fight. You know, so if we can get that fight secure and, you know, signed, then hopefully that can be my next fight.
Let me throw a couple of names out who've come at you. Kell Brook.
Right. Well, Kell Brook been coming out the woodworks a little lately. You know, he wants to fight. You know, that's a great fight as well, you know. But at the same time, with this pandemic, I don't think that they letting people from overseas come over here or us go over there. I think that's why Lomachenko is still stuck over there. I think it's a lot of fighters that can't come to the United States and fight because of that. You know, so that fight I don't think could happen.
And would that be a fight at 154, or would he? Because he hasn't fought really at 147 in a long time. So would you have to come up to fight him?
No, I asked him. I said, "Can you make the weight?" You know what I mean? He said he can make the weight. He want to be a champion again, so he would challenge me for my 147 title. Okay. And right now, you know, like I said, like if you challenging me, then you come into my way. Like if I challenge you, and then yeah, I come to 154. If I challenge a 154 pound title list or champion, then you know I'm coming to you. You're not coming to me. Now, if you come to me and you sending shots to me, don't send shots. Talk about you want to fight me, but I gotta come up to this weight. I'm champion at 147. Why would I come up to your weight if you challenge me?
Your Dennis Ugas is the latest person who's come out and called you out. So has Sean Porter. They've talked about wanting to fight you. Keith Thurman came out and said he wanted to fight you. Out of those 3 guys, in your opinion, which one is a more makeable fight?
All of them. Every last one of them is a makeable fight. I don't see what would stand in the way on any 3 fighters that just called me out. You know, I feel like Keith Thurman would be the biggest fight, you know, and then Sean Porter, and then Ugas. But all 3 of them is great fighters. You know, I can't look over and near one of them, you know, so all 3 of them is good fights to be made.
Yeah.
Well, all four if I put Kell Brook in it.
You talked about how your critics have talked about you, and you know they always want to question a fighter's resume. I'm just out of curiosity's sake. It seems as if the PBC has the big name welterweights on their side. So why did you choose Bob Arum in Top Rank as opposed to, it seems like all the big welterweights ends up signing with the PBC and Al Heyman?
Because I still wanted that Pacquiao fight, and I felt like, you know, the Pacquiao fight and then all the other names come looking for me. At the same time, I don't feel like being from PBC or being from Top Rank should have interfered with any fights getting made on the strength that I already fought PBC fighters before. You know, when I fought Felix Diaz and John Molina, they was signed with PBC and Al Heyman, you know, and nothing really never stood in the way. I just felt like once it came to a point where it was some of the big fighters, they didn't want to put them in the ring with me because they didn't want to have that Top Rank have the edge over their head where one of their fighters took out one of their top welterweight fighters. So in a sense, they just fight each other. Let's just take each other out and see what he do in the meantime, and we'll go from there. But in my own defense, I would say Mean Machine, Jeff Horn, and Benavidez, they wasn't no B-level fighters in my eyes. You know, I feel like you can put those fighters up against any one of those top PBC fighters and they'll give them hell. You know, and especially Benavidez. When you look at Benavidez, what he's been doing since he was a kid, yeah, he got shot in the leg and everybody wanted to use that as an excuse at the end. But before the fight, he clearly said, my leg is good. I'm not going to use this as an excuse. I've been doing everything going in. And he just came off 2 stoppage wins. Nobody, not one time, said anything about his leg in those 2 fights. Leading up to the fight, they just said he got shot in the leg. They never said, oh, well, let's see how his leg hold up and this not walking funny. He don't have no limp. No, none of that. So once I knock him out, then that's the big topic. Oh, he got one leg, all this and all that. So that would really piss me off. The Jeff Horn, they say, all right, he got cheated by Pacquiao. When you watch that fight, Jeff Horn bullied Pacquiao. You know, even if he did, you know, some illegal tactics or he hit him with elbows or headbutt or whatever the case may be, he did what he had to do to win the fight. You know, it's a fight at the end of the day. When you look at that fight, he took Pacquiao through hell. You know, pushed him around, bullied him. He made it a rough fight for Pacquiao. And you can't say that fight wasn't close, you know, at the end of the day. And for me to go in there and stop that man that Pacquiao couldn't stop and beat him every round, you don't give me no credit for that. So then when you look at Kavaliauskas, you know, undefeated fighter, a 2-time Olympian, you know, never taste the ground, amateur or pro. You know, for me to go out there and stop him in the fashion that I did, you know, you don't want to give me no credit. You know, y'all want to say, oh, he was the bomb because of his fight with Ray Robinson. Well, styles make fights. You know, everybody not going to have a plus night on fight night. Styles make fights, and I give him credit. He's a good fighter, you know. And when you look at Amir Khan, nobody never outboxed Amir Khan. Nobody. When you see Amir Khan lose, you see him get knocked out. You know, I was outboxing him from round 1 to round 5 until it got stoppage. You know, so everybody say, oh, well, Amir Khan is done. He's washed up. He's this, he's that, he's that. Why you just can't say Terence Crawford is at a great level where, you know, he makes these fighters look that way? You know, because when you get in the ring with me or when somebody else get in the ring with me, they're going to say the same thing. They're going to say, oh, well, he's coming off a loss or he did this, he did that. And these guys, they not coming off of losses. The guys that I'm fighting is undefeated, probably one loss. You know, I think Amir Khan was the only fighter that I fought in the welterweight division with a loss so far. Everybody else has been undefeated. Nobody else is doing stuff like that. They not taking chances like that. I'm fighting my mandatories, and nobody else is fighting their mandatories the way I'm fighting them. You know, when my mandatories come up, that's my next fight. I'm not saying, all right, well, I'm going to pay this guy step-aside money, or I want to fight this guy or that guy before I fight this guy and just push him off. You know, I'm fighting how they come. I'm not picking the fighters that I fight. Is they tall? Is they short? Is they fast? Do they punch hard? Do they box well? Do they brawl well? I'm fighting all the styles. When you look at my career and you look at the type of people that I'm fighting, southpaws, orthodox, speedy fighters, boxers, brawlers, I didn't fight them all. So that's why I say, you know, they criticize me on who I fight. But then when you look at the type of people that they fought, then you'll say, oh, well, this guy only fought this guy, and this guy beat this guy, and this guy lost to this guy, but who have they fought then? So you criticize me on who I fought, but then when you look at the type of people that other fighters fought, then how can you give them any credit?
And so you believe, though, whether it's Ugas, whether it's Porter, or whether it's Thurman, that fight can be made?
All of them can be made. Like I've been saying from day one, you know, Al Heyman, you know, he's doing tremendous, great things with the PBC and the PBC fighters and stuff like that, but he's not a promoter. So by him not being a promoter and by those fighters not having a promotion contract with any promoter, they can fight on any platform that they would choose. Al Heyman is just an advisor. So he can advise you, I advise you not to fight over there and just fight over here. That's it. They can go to him and say, listen, this is the fight I want. This is the fight I want to fight next. Make it happen. They can do that. The same way I went to Bob Arum, they can do the same thing with Al Heyman. And he can advise them, no, I don't think we should take that right now. That wouldn't be the smartest decision. But at the end of the day, as them being the fighters, they can say, no, this is the fight that I want. Like, when you see it now, Sean Porter and them has said that they willing to fight me, right?
Yep. And
they express that there will be nothing that will interfere with us fighting, right?
You're right. Keith
Thurman, he just expressed that he would fight me, right?
He did say that. He said, send the contract.
There you have it. Ugas just expressed that he would fight me, right? So now it goes back to when I was calling all these fighters out. They were saying he's on the wrong side of the street. When I kept saying there's no side of the street, we all can fight. Sean Porter, he doesn't have a belt anymore. That's my homie. You know what I mean? That's a good friend of mine for a long time. He doesn't have a belt anymore, right? When I said I wanted all the champions, but Sean Porter, because we was friends, he wasn't calling me out. He had a belt. They wasn't offering Sean Porter, putting Sean Porter on the table. They didn't say, let's make this a unification fight. So when Keith Thurman had a title, when I was like, I'll fight Keith Thurman, they wasn't saying, oh, let's match Terence Crawford out in a unification fight with Keith Thurman. They wasn't. You know what I mean? So all this, I fight Terence Crawford now and all this and all that, it just shows, you know, what they've been doing all along. You know, they've been holding out. You know, and it just is sad at the same time, because now the fans, you know, they don't get to see the fights that they want. And now, you know, we get to this point and I'm still willing to fight each and every one of them just to prove a point. But at the same time, when that point get made, here go the excuses. Oh, this guy lost already, or this guy this, or this guy that, or he wasn't in his heart wasn't in boxing no more. He's ready to retire, or you got all these, and I'm really ready for all that to come because I know it's gonna come no matter what.
In your opinion, Terence, who is the most exciting fighter in boxing right now? And I'm talking about a guy that even Bud Crawford says, man, when this guy steps in the ring, even I got to turn on the TV and watch him fight.
I have to say Tyson Fury. I have to say Tyson Fury.
You like the Gypsy King?
Yeah, man. Like every time I go to his fights, and every time from the walkout to everything, I just say, man, this dude is an entertainer. Like he makes me laugh, but at the same time, he's an entertainer. On and off the in the ring and out the ring. It's just, by me going in this room, his last fight, and saying what's up to him, how relaxed he was, how calm he was. It's just like, man, dude, this dude, like, he don't have a care. He really don't.
And you don't see the third fight going any differently?
Nah, man. That dude. I told everybody when they asked me, who do I think got the edge in the second fight, and I said Tyson Fury, hands down. Deontay Wilder, he's a cool dude. He's cool. One of my good friends. Well, I wouldn't say good friends, but he's one of my friends that I've been knowing for a long time. When I see him, it's all love. But Tyson Fury took his punch, and once he did that and got up and really run around that he got knocked down in, I said, that was the worst thing that could have ever happened in that fight, because now in his mind, he like, I took his best shot and I got up and I finished the fight stronger than before I got knocked down. So now going into the second fight, he's not scared no more. He's not afraid. He's not nervous. He like, I can take his shot. So when you seen the second fight, he went straight to him. He went straight to him because in his mind, I already knew. And I said that before the fight even happened. I said he already took a shot, so he just going to come straight for him.
Wow.
He knows he can outbox him, but by him telling everybody, nobody's expecting me to knock out Deontay Wilder or Deontay Wilder beating me a decision or outboxing me. He said, I'm going to knock him out. And when he said that, you could tell that he was for real about what he was saying, because he put on that weight. He was doing a lot of strength work. He looked bigger. He was bigger, and he was preparing his body to go to war.
Yeah.
So I just was just like, man.
Since we're talking heavyweights, do you want to see Mike Tyson in an exhibition fight?
Of course. Who wouldn't? I think that'd be exciting just to see these two old dudes slugging it out again. Just hope Tyson don't bite his ear again, but of course, man, it'd be.
Now listen, I don't know if a lot of folks know, but you're a huge football fan, especially when it comes to Nebraska. So let me ask you a question. Did Nebraska make a mistake when they joined the Big Ten? And when will we see the return of glory to the Big Red?
No, I don't think it's the fact that they joined the Big Ten. I just think it's the recruiting. We can't get those top players to come play for us no more. They gotta do something with the recruiting. And then I think we had the chance to get one of those quarterbacks that just was in the championship, and they passed on them. And now look at them, national championship, winner. And I just think, things like that, you just can't pass up on great talent, because you think that you know, you can go elsewhere and get the same talent. You got to take when it's hot, you got to get it, you know. And I just felt like, you know, them passing them up, and it hurt us. But at the same time, I just think it's the recruiting. That's any school. When you look at any school, when they getting those top recruits, all Americans and all that stuff, like Alabama, LSU. When you look at the type of players they getting 5-star, back to back. You know, Ohio State, 5-star. You know, when you look at Nebraska, we getting like 2-star, 3-star at best. You know, and it's hard to win a championship with that type of talent.
Mm. We always allow the people who listen to the podcast, who watch us on YouTube, ask our guest questions. So we got some from Twitter. The first one here comes from Drew, but it says, if you could fight one boxer outside of your weight class, who would it be and why?
One boxer out of my weight class. I would have to say Lomachenko. I would say Lomachenko just for the fact that he's the best fighter besides me out there right now, you know, pound for pound wise. And I respect his skill set, his craft, his talent. You know, I think that dude is great. I think he's like one of the best fighters ever, you know, when looking at him, you know. But I will want to see how he will approach a fight with me. You know, I would want to see how, you know, he would, you know, try to attack me with the same tactics that he attacked everybody else.
Johnny from Twitter asks, why Kell Brook over Ugas?
Because Kell Brook has accomplished more. You know, not taking anything away from Ugas because we got history, but at the same time, it's a more lucrative business deal when you look at it. Kell Brook only have 2 losses to Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin, and Gennady Golovkin, in my eyes, really don't count because, you know, he was going up 2 weight classes. He was out of his weight class. It's the same as when Regendow fought Lomachenko. And then his other loss came to Errol Spence. And he was winning that fight, but he got his eye messed up. Yeah. You know, so if you look at Kell's resume and record, he really could have been defeated. I think if he took that Gennady Golovkin to fought Spence before that, that would have been a totally different fight. Because once one eye get messed up, and then you come right back and fight another tough fight right after that, then you know, that's not giving your body no time to recuperate or rest on your eye. So of course, if this eye messed up, this eye is going to be easier to mess up than that, you know, this eye is messed up. So that's why I would take a Kell Brook fight.
Albert asks on Twitter, since you're a huge fisherman, live bait or lures when you're on the lake?
I'm a fan of live bait.
Live bait? I'm
a fan of live bait. I like to catch the bait from the same lake or river and just, you know, let the fish do their thing.
We're going to wrap up our discussion here with Terence Crawford. But first, our message from our podcast partner, the all-natural B1 patch.
The all-natural B1 patch from USA Natural may be just what you're looking for. Professional athletes use it, and you can too.
Hey, what do we got here?
B1. That's what got us through the second half. That's the energy that gave us the second half right there.
I think I'm going to need one of those. Can I get one? All right, congratulations. Great job. Thank you.
Visit buyb1.com and enter the code BC3 for a discount on every order. Wear what the pros wear. The all-natural B1 patch.
Okay, Terence, it is time for a segment. In the last segment of the show, we call it The Last Stand. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Terence Crawford. You give me the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Pound for pound, who is the best fighter on planet Earth right now?
Terence Crawford.
Give me your top 5 welterweights in the world right now. Top 5 welterweights.
Don't matter the order.
Top 5.
Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia.
Nice. Who's the most overrated fighter?
Sean Porter. I got to say Sean Porter because Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia.
Okay. Who is the most overrated fighter in the game right now?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Is everybody you watch fight, you be like, man, I don't think this guy is this good. And they keep talking about this guy. And
that's kind of hard. I got to think about that one because I don't want to throw any shade on nobody if I ain't really did my homework.
Right. Okay. Here's the next question. Who is Top Rank's best fighter? Is it Tyson Fury, Vasily Lomachenko, or Bud Crawford?
Bud Crawford, hands down. Hands down.
When it comes to the Green Bay Packers quarterback, because we know you're a huge Packers fan, is the GOAT Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers?
Favre.
Oh, you going Brett Favre, huh?
Yeah, Brett Favre.
What'd you think about them drafting Jordan Love?
Well, that's telling Aaron Rodgers something. He better step his game up or he out of there.
I love it.
Yeah, they gonna prep him. They gonna prep him just like they prepped Aaron Rodgers. But they having that backup.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. This was enjoyable. I truly appreciate the time. I always wish you the best of luck in the ring. I love what you're doing out of the ring. And I just appreciate you taking the time and joining us here on the Last Stand podcast.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, that's what we do. We bring you the biggest names in sports and entertainment, just like Bud Crawford. Thanks for listening and watching on YouTube, The Last Stand Podcast. Go to our YouTube channel, The Last Stand Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe and make sure you download it on all platforms streaming podcasts. We'll see you next week.